When I started this channel, I felt like I would do more book reviews, like full-length book reviews than I've been doing, because I kind of got caught up in doing the 1-minute book reviews that I do as shorts. I don't know if you've caught some of those. I'm not exactly sure what happens to shorts. They are a weird thing on YouTube, and I guess unless you're subscribed, you probably won't see them unless you accidentally happen upon them. So I've just been doing these 1-minute reviews, but I think I'm going to start doing more full-length ones on some books, not all of them. So today I would like to talk about this one that I just finished for the Asian Readathon, called The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. My son was blown away by this book, and so he told me I had to read it, and he wanted to hear a review. So here we go. This is a really hard, heavy-duty science fiction book, so I was a little bit nervous about it. And there was a reason to be, because it is quite over my head in most parts. There's a lot of talk about molecular science, is that what it's called? Like really tiny things, and the stars, and speed of light, and computer programming, and yeah, I don't even know how to explain the kind of science that's in here. But the summary of this book is, we get the background of a girl. She's a girl at the beginning. The first part is sort of her crazy background, where she sees her father killed, and her mother's whacked out, or her sister is, both maybe, and she ends up getting arrested for being, I can't even remember what now, but it doesn't look good for her. But then she's rescued by these guys who run this science base, military base place, high up on a mountain with this great big huge and parabolic antenna. Is that what they call it? This, I think of it as a great big huge satellite high up on top of this mountain, and nobody really knows what they're doing. So she goes there, and they tell her, if you join us and help us, then you have to stay here the rest of your life. So she's like, fine, I have nothing else to do. I have nowhere to go. And so she pledges her life to whatever they're researching at this place. And then that's where that first part ends. So we don't know what happens there. So then we jump ahead for like 40 years. We're with a new dude, and he's got weird stuff going on in his life. He keeps seeing a countdown. He doesn't know what it is. And you know what? I'm not sure I know what that is still yet either. And then he starts playing this VR game where he puts on the VR suit so he can feel everything in the game. And the name of the game is Three-Body. And in this game, they have a problem. The problem is they have 3 sons, the three-body problem. 3 sons that they cannot predict the orbit and the rotation of these suns. And so sometimes life is good. It's called a stable era. And the climate is fine. And then sometimes they're in a chaotic era, which means that they're either way too cold or way too hot, depending on where the suns are, how many suns are up. If 3 suns come up, then they are annihilated instantly, and the game ends. And I'm not exactly sure what the players of the game are trying to do, because when this guy goes into the game, all he does is really observe the people in the game doing stuff. But he realizes that every time he goes in again, then another whole civilization of people are alive, and a catastrophic thing will happen, and their civilization will end, and then they'll go in again, and it will be millions and millions of years later, and another era has started. So he keeps reliving these eras with these people, trying to figure out how to predict these suns. So when he's outside of the game, he's talking to the lady who we met at the beginning of the book, who's now an older lady, and he's finding out her story, and he's finding out what happened when she spent 20 years in this research place. She ended up not staying there her whole life, but she was there for 20 years. That story slowly comes out, and we find out what was really going on. I think that's really all I can tell you without completely starting into spoilers. Hopefully I didn't spoil too much already. There was a lot of philosophy and political spewing. It reminded me a little bit of Ayn Rand's books, where I was just like, we are getting a lot of extra stuff here. I don't know if it was the author's thoughts, or if it was things that made him crazy, like things that he's not happy with. One of the bottom line thoughts of this book is how our world is pretty much just like humans have pretty much ruined this planet, ruined the earth, ruined each other, and there's nothing left to save here, so why even try? It reminded me of Ender's Game for reasons, and so it was a little bit of combination of both those things. Oh, and a little bit of, I did think of Ready Player One a little bit, just because of the game element of it. It felt like historical fiction. It feels like what he's reporting on in here really happened, because there's a lot of actual historical stuff going on too, and so you're like wanting to know, did that really happen? Was that real, or or are we making this one up? So it meshed the two together to the point where you're like, did this really happen? And you're not sure. So yeah, so I gave it 4 stars because I was very intrigued, even though the science went over my head. We got some thunder going on. And I do want to know what's going to happen next. And it doesn't really, it ends, I wouldn't say a cliffhanger, but it ends without really, it ends in the middle of the story. So it is a trilogy. So when I'm in the mood for some hardcore science fiction again, then I will read the second one so that I can know what happens next. Let me know if you have read this book and what you thought of it. I don't see anybody talking about this kind of stuff very much. Maybe I'm in the wrong circles. I don't know. I find it interesting that it has a blurb by Barack Obama. Wildly imaginative, Barack Obama. I've never seen him blurb in a book before. I'm sure he has, but I've not seen it. So that was interesting to me. Let me know if you've read it and what you thought, and if you think that I've completely missed the message of this book. I don't know. I'm glad to have broadened my horizons, shall we say, and read something completely different from what I would normally read. But I'm ready to go back to some stuff that I can digest a little bit easier. But I'm happy that I managed to get through it, and actually it didn't take me too very long. And if, like I said, if you guys have read it, I would love to know what you thought. Till next time, happy reading. Bye.